Good afternoon and welcome back to another episode of Chat with Brandy, where we talk personal and business finance, taxes, and how to make money doing what you love. My name is Brandy. I am your host, bookkeeper, and tax preparer, and this is episode number 30. So it is that time of year again. Tax season is coming up. I can definitely feel it in the air. So this video and the related show notes that will go with it is an update to, I've done a Getting Ready for Tax Season episode before, episode number 18, which I'll link to for you guys. It gives a lot of good general advice on tax checklists and deductions and that kind of thing. This video is meant to be sort of the update to that. So if you kind of need that base knowledge, then go to episode 18 first. So 2020 deadlines. So in 2020, this year that we're in right now, we are filing tax returns for the 2019 income year. So the first step towards having a successful tax season is to prepare early by organizing your documentation well in advance of the tax deadline. So the last day to file this year as an individual is April 30th, 2020. And that is also the deadline to pay any taxes owing. So if there's a chance that you're going to owe tax, you should file several weeks in advance of the deadline so that Canada Revenue Agency can assess your tax return before the payment is due. Because if you end up filing late and you owe taxes, you'll pay interest and penalties and all that kind of bad stuff. So if you have self-employment income or rental, or if your spouse does, your deadline is a little bit later. So Canada Revenue Agency gives you until June 15th to file. However, as I said before, the tax payable, like if you have taxes owing, those are still due on April 30th. So I always try to strive for that April 30th deadline, regardless of the extended deadline for self-employed people. So right now, today is January the 21st, I believe, and CRA is currently closed for e-filing for any tax year. So no, they are not accepting any tax returns right now until February 25th when they reopen. So if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I need to get a prior tax return done, like a 2018 or something like that, we can still prepare it. We just can't file it until the actual 25th of February, okay? So that's the earliest that you can file your 2019 tax return. I would really only recommend filing that early if you are like 200% sure that you have all of your T-slips, so T4s, T5s, T3s, that kind of thing. Because those aren't technically due to be paid, to be filed by your employer, for example, until February 28th. So lots of times you might not have everything by that day. Other slips that may come a little bit later, even than February 28th, are RSP contribution slips. So you are allowed to contribute, there we go, to an RSP for the 2019 income year up until February 28th of 2020. So for that reason, the slips aren't going to come out until you'll probably see them around the second week of March or so. And then also if you've done any construction contracting type of work, you might not get those T5018 slips. Those aren't super common, but if you're in the construction industry, you might get that if you're a contractor. Okay, and that sometimes can be a little bit later as well. So let's get into the 2020 update. So again, in episode 18, I listed all the Alberta deductions that there are. That hasn't changed a lot, but I'll give you the updates here. So the first thing is every single year, the limits on the tax brackets change. So they kind of always increase according to inflation, which means that you can make more and be taxed less every year a little bit, okay? So I will pop the actual numbers, like I'll read them out to you right now, but I will pop the actual numbers into the show notes for you guys to look at. But basically the lowest rate of tax, so 15% federally, is less than $47,630 this year. And then on the Alberta side, as long as your income is under $131,220, you'll be paying 10% on all of your income. Okay, the tax brackets go up from there. So I'll just kind of skip ahead to the highest one. The highest one is if you make over $210,372 this year, you're going to pay 33% federal tax and 15%, The highest tax bracket for Alberta is $314,000, and you'd be paying 15% there. So again, all the numbers in between will be listed on the show notes. It's just a little boring to talk about in a video, but you should know that those numbers change a little bit every year. Corporations claiming, so that was all for individual taxes, okay? Corporations, so most of the corporations I work with, pretty much every single one claims the small business tax deductions. So that means that you are Canadian controlled private corporations. So the shareholders all live in Canada, the operations are all in Canada, and it's not publicly traded. And you have active business income under $500,000, so your revenue's under $500,000, you guys will enjoy a 1% federal tax rate decrease. So it used to be 10% on the federal side and then 2% on the Alberta side. Now it's 9% on the federal side and still 2% on the Alberta side. So that's kind of nice. New credits and benefits. So you guys might already know this, but the Alberta carbon tax rebate that's been around for a couple years is now gone. But there's a new federal rebate program in place called the Climate Action Incentive, and I'll put a link in there for you below, for the adult residents of Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario. If you are not 18, you may still qualify for it if you are married or you have your own minor child. Okay, this new credit, so the Alberta credit, the carbon levy rebate, was based on income. This new credit is not based on income. It's just based on your family composition. So how many kids you have or how many dependents you have, whether or not you're married. And then, like I say, depending on where you live, if you're eligible or not. So eligible individuals could receive an extra $444 on their tax returns this year, with an extra $222 for your eligible spouse, and then $111 per qualified dependent. So if you are a married couple with 2 children, you'll get $888 out of this extra on your return. There is also a 10% supplement for residents of small and rural communities. So anywhere in Edmonton and surrounding area, so even including Sherwood Parks and Spruce Grove, those are not considered rural small communities. But if you are out of town a little ways, there is a 10% supplement there. Okay, next update, 2019. So this is not really an update for this year, but just so you know, just stay plugged in here. 2019 is the last year Albertan students can claim the education and tuition tax credits. So if you're thinking about going to school and you're like, I might not do it this year, I'm going to wait till next year, it would be more advantageous for you to go this year for tax purposes. Nope, scratch that. 2020 is gone. So 2019 was your last chance. So even 2020 is, it'll be gone. Federally, this tax credit's been gone since 2017. And then, like I say, Alberta will be following suit in 2020. Okay. Sorry, that was a little bit confusing. The working income tax benefit. So this has been around for a long time, this benefit, and it's based on your employment income. So if you are employed, but you have low employment income, you used to be able to get this working income tax benefit. They've switched it up. So it's now called the Canada Workers Benefit. It's a little more generous than the old one. So it means that individuals can now get more money and make more money to get it. So you can now get you can get up to $1,355. With the working income tax benefit, the max was $1,059. So they've kind of increased the amount that you could get and increased the income thresholds as well. So that's kind of nice. So you might see that pop up on your tax return. And that's pretty much it. Those are the big updates I want to go over. There hasn't been a whole lot of changes this year. I think there'll be more changes next year just with the new budget that I've seen. But this year we're good to go. So now I just want to kind of do a little bit of reminder for you guys, to be prepared for tax season, I do have tax checklists on my website. If you go to booksbybrandy.ca/resources, there's a whole bunch of checklists there. I usually have people start off with the personal tax checklist, and then there's other checklists for if you have different sources of income. So for example, there's a self-employment tax checklist, rental property, employment expenses, and then foreign income reporting checklist. So those will be really helpful for you guys. As always, feel free to reach out to me with any questions about what's required, and I'd be happy to chat. Have a wonderful day.